During the pandemic, my wife encouraged me to start painting, and a couple of years later, here we are. I am the artist Sachiko, and I am a queer Asian American artist, currently creating in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Scranton, or at least northeastern Pennsylvania, there's something in this area that fuels creativity. And I think being in this environment and this community, it's very welcoming. That type of support helps build people up. And the more support you have, the more you can flourish. And even though you're sharing very raw emotional experiences, it's a little less scary because you have somebody there to support you. I create paintings about emotion to find connection with others and try to inspire people to feel less alone. I have been creating as long as I can remember, from a very young age. Passionate about art, followed it through school. Creating through different mediums. I've known from a very young age, I was passionate about sharing creativity and imagination. And then older, that creativity and imagination transforming into communicating emotions like stress, anxiety, struggles such as dealing with being a survivor of childhood abuse or experiencing something that everybody experiences day to day. I try to use my art to share my experience as a way to find connection with others. I know what it's like to feel alone, and that's a horrible feeling, and it can get really dark. So if I can share those moments, then maybe other people living that experience might not feel so alone because somebody else has been there. For me, creating a piece is a no holds bar. There are some very emotional pieces that I have sobbed for months through creating. There are some pieces that I might create in a short period of time. I think one of my recent pieces, Scene, has allowed me to really show my emotions. It's a piece that's expressing my experience of being a queer individual, and at least for myself and for others who I've spoken to, it's hard to be seen as who you are, your most authentic self. And this piece has really resonated with some of my community members as well as myself. Having a space to be as authentic as I can be hasn't always been a privilege. So now that I can, it's been awesome. I believe that my emotions do help evolve a piece. Say I'm processing a specific traumatic event, whether it's in the past or the present. I do a lot of introspection, and I almost become in a meditative state as creating, but the general theme and idea behind the piece always stays the same. I think art and music really go hand in hand. I have a lot of pieces that are inspired by songs that I've listened to. When I'm creating, I usually have a playlist going on in the background. So I really think music influences art, but art also influences music. So it's very cyclical and they go hand in hand. To be able to fund what I do, I still have to work a day job. I think a lot of artists experience having to work a day job while honing their craft, which definitely can be difficult for creativity. But you gotta do what you gotta do at the end of the day. And I think if it weren't for the fact that I am so detail oriented with what I'm doing with my time, especially lately, I try to focus on what's important so that I can spend as much of my free time doing what I love, which is painting. I think that my experience of having to work a day job while still being an artist is something that can resonate with a lot of people, not just creatives. Most people work a job and then either go home to a family or their pet or whatever their hobbies are in their free time, and finding that balance between work and what you love, what you're passionate about, is something we're all trying to juggle. So I don't know if my experience is necessarily different, but I think pieces that I create about past work experiences definitely strike a chord with other people where they can find their own story within a piece I've created. When you come home after working, especially a stressful day at work, being able to unleash those emotions onto, for me, a canvas, but for others, it might be through words if you're a poet or a writer, or music if you're a musician, that all of the energy, whether positive or negative, from my day definitely gets pushed into the passion of what I'm creating. And it's almost meditative in a release so that stress isn't weighing on me as a person after. I definitely think that if you have some type of creative outlet, it helps you find balance between your work or your personal relationships, because that outlet lets you have an introspective experience of what you're having first. You're then able to reflect on that before you maybe throw those emotions or experiences onto others. I guess if we want to get very simplified with my emotional experience in what I'm creating, for me, anxiety, because I deal with it on such a high level every day, it manifests in multiple different expressions. Sometimes, say I have negative anxious feelings, it might be more of a monochromatic piece because I'm really feeling and living in only one type of state, where other anxieties from multiple exterior sources might manifest in chaos in a piece. Joy and happiness for me is bright and light, not just in color, but in feeling, your core feeling. For you, say, as a person, if you're staring at a sunset, you might feel specific emotions based on the colors of the sky. For me, feeling free of anger or stress or trauma would be expressions that were less chaotic, had more room to breathe, sometimes have more depth to provide more spatial awareness, or potentially multiple perspectives under different lighting conditions. I think feelings in general are a deeply personal experience for any individual. So my view or perspective to something may be completely different to somebody else's. So for me, I can only speak on my perspective and share. And I love to hear what other people are experiencing with their perspective from a piece. So it's almost a conversation. I definitely feel that myself, I am an introverted person, so my artwork allows me to use it as a vehicle to start conversations with other people. I'm the kind of person that prefers a one-on-one talk more than a large audience. So being able to share my views and then leave it for other people to experience is definitely an easier way for me to personally communicate.
They took a picture of you sitting there about 5 years ago, said, well, I was the first bed to watch.
Yeah. And so, like, if someone's working there and my leg is out, like, hi. I can't turn it off. I would heard that. No, I just heard like a lot of like weird stuff.
Looks so familiar.
For creatives, for me, being a artist, being able to share my pieces in public spaces is a really unique privilege because I can take a very fly on the wall type of observation and just kind of listen to how people are reacting and what they're seeing, or sometimes I can take a more hands-on approach and begin conversations. But in general, I think being able to share your artwork in spaces like Scranton's First Friday or any First Friday type of experience is extremely beneficial, because not only does it open a pathway for artists to share their perspectives, for me, it allows me to find more connection within the community, because at many shows you have strangers coming, and so you're talking to people you don't even know, and it might be your neighbor, or it's somebody who just moved to the area, or someone visiting from out of town. And to be able to have that type of melting pot experience is really important, especially for any artist. I'm amazed every day at the different types of individuals that reach out telling me stories, how maybe a piece or a story I shared really resonated with one of their personal experiences. And to see the different types of people finding connection through my artwork blows my mind. It's really one of the most incredible privileges I can have. Physical portfolios for a lot of what has really led to the core of who I am now is the kindness of others and my desire for another not to feel the level of loneliness that I've felt. As an individual, I was kicked out while I was going to college, and was fortunate for the kindness of a house of drag queens to give me a couch to sleep on during breaks. I mean, I was fed meals and taken in by this amazing group of people that didn't owe me anything, but because I needed help, felt that they wanted to give me a place to stay.
Take your time, let him sit.
I think we all as people hate to feel alone. And I have lived with that feeling for a lot of my life. And I honestly believe if it weren't for the kindness of strangers, I probably wouldn't be here. Being told when you come out that the people who are supposed to love you are just worried for your soul and not worried for who you are as a person can leave incredibly damaging scars on people. And I was fortunate to feel like I have been able to find success out of struggle. And because of that, I feel the need to share my story with others. And I think that's why every time people ask me why I create and why I feel the need to share my feelings, And it's really to let others know that you're not alone.